I used to watch those infomercials. I'd sneak out and watch those late at night. I'm going to do this someday. It was very exciting. I was the hands-on guy, learning the entire aspect of rehabbing houses. Well, how am I going to get this money? I'm not making enough money doing this. Started buying real estate properties, investment properties.
Sam, thank you for joining me for our Thought Leader Spotlight series. I'm your host over here, Matt Camp, head of partnerships at DealMachine. And on these, we like to shine an industry spotlight on experts like yourself, hear your inspiring stories, and see how you see the real estate world evolving. So today, really excited to welcome on Sam Zess. I know you are a St. Louis native like myself, also married your high school sweetheart, I believe, which we both have in common. So there we go. We've got a lot in common right off the bat. I know you have had family members in real estate kind of growing up that inspired you from a young age, and are the former CEO and owner of a property management company. And I know really are spending a lot of your time on that side of the business, and have a background in finance too. So I have a lot of different areas we can cover here. But Sam, really excited to welcome you on, man.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so I briefly touched on, kind of what you've mentioned before has inspired you to get into real estate. But can you tell us more about your personal real estate journey and really how you got into this world?
So I think it started, I was probably about 12 years old. So my dad's side of the family, they're all from Greece, and they moved over here. My dad's brother he moved over here. He was 30 years older than my dad. So we're not very close to my dad's side of the family, but I heard all the stories about how they got wealthy in real estate. And it just inspired me even at 12, 13 years old. And back then there was an infomercial, Carlton Sheets, and
Yep.
buy real estate with no money down. I used to watch those infomercials. I'd sneak out and watch those late at night. I'm going to do this someday. So that's what I got into. So in my early 20s, obviously we talked about my wife. We've been together since high school. We've known each other for 30 years now. We've been together. So, and she
Congrats.
has supported me through the whole entire journey. And it's been a hell of a journey. So in my early 20s, when we got married, I worked for a real estate investor, and I was rehabbing houses for him. So we were mostly turning four families back into single families in a wealthy part of St. Louis. So it was very exciting. I was the hands-on guy, learning the entire aspect of rehabbing houses. And then after that, I'm like, well, there was no bigger pockets. There was nothing else. Nobody knew about Bird. Nobody knew about anything. So it's like, well, how am I going to get this money? I'm not making enough money doing this. So I went to college, fast tracked through that, started at the age of 30, and I ended up getting my MBA, my undergraduate and MBA in, I think it was 3.5 years. So I got an MBA in finance, and I quickly rose in that career where I was making a ton of money, and I started buying real estate properties, investment properties. And there was no working full time in a high stress environment. There's no time to obviously manage contractors, property managers. You can't invest in real estate. I had 10 properties at the time, and I was like, there has to be a company out there that will do everything that real estate investors can trust, and they just handle the entire process. So with my wife's support, she supported me yet again. I walked out of my career, my entire finance career, and started this company. And it's been a journey. It's been a challenge. It's been a journey, but we're on the right path, and we've helped hundreds of investors now. I want to be the company that actually wants to help investors. That's who I am. I build my company around what I would have wanted, and that's where we stand today. So it's
I'd love to start there around your company you've built. Like, what are some of those key tenets that make you unique there? Like, how did you want to approach it that you didn't see the market already addressing?
So what made us unique? There's many companies doing it now, but my vision was always I wanted to do full rehabs for investors. Most property management companies, they don't do that. They didn't at the time they didn't at the time. That's where my vision was, because I was looking to buy properties that needed, they needed work. So you could get that you could refinance, get your money back out the typical Burr method. And there were no property managers out there that would handle that. They do quick rent readies and things like that. Where I started this company where we do everything from the very beginning. We will find the investors the house. We will do the rehab for them. Whether, I mean, we're talking $100,000 rehabs, $150,000 rehabs. No matter the size, we do that for them. Then we take it under management, and it just the investor is completely hands off. They don't have to do anything, and that's what I wanted to be able to do. That's what I wanted when I was in my finance career. I wanted somebody that would just, hey, do it. I trust you. You got nothing to worry about, and that's who we are.
Love that. So if you're on the investor side, I would love to know, because a lot of people watching this are, falling in that bucket of a maybe even a newer investor, somebody who's like kind of starting to scale, starting to build a portfolio or has ambitions to. For that investor, can you tell us more on what tips you might have for them? Like how, considering your journey and how you got into this, like how, as a brand new investor, do you have any kind of, lessons learned that you could share with our audience there?
I do have a lot of it. I have quite a few. So I would say at one point in time, like 2 months ago, 75% of our investors that came to us were brand new investors, never bought a property in their life. So it kind of became our specialty, but it's also been a big challenge because there's a lot of teaching moments in there, which I love mentoring people. I love leadership. I love doing that. But it is a challenge. It takes a lot more time. I have to have a bigger team to do that. So to new investors, I would say find people you can trust. Meet as many people as you can. Get to know them. But I would also say don't completely put all your trust in somebody. You never know what somebody's true intentions are. Build that relationship. Have it's all about relationships in this business. That's what this game is. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. What are the most common mistakes you see, from new investors like that? Like what would you share as like, hey, here's some red flags to look out for?
The biggest challenge, the investors that have come to us, these new investors that have come to us, their biggest challenges has been there's a lot of bad contractors out there that are just looking to rip people off. And that has happened. I can't even tell you hundreds of investors that have come to us. My contractor just walked away with the money. They said it was done. They were sending them fake pictures. So, I
Wow.
know out of state investing is very popular. Most of our investors are out of state. It's very popular, but you have to know that you have to have trusted contractors. You have to have your boots on the ground in that area if it takes flying into town every once in a while, if you don't have those relationships, you got to be checking on things. Like, don't put all your trust in anybody. There's I don't know if it's just the St. Louis area or everywhere, but it seems recently just the contractors that are out there taking advantage of these out of state investors. It's horrible.
I mean, it's something common in the industry for sure, especially for newbies, like not knowing how to find those or assess them. Like, do you have any advice there on how to really, yeah, identify contractors you can really trust, and then assess that that relationship going in to really work with them on those first projects, especially?
Yes, I would definitely get referrals, have them give you names of other people, check up on even those referrals, get photos of their previous job. There's so many different things you can do, but the referrals are 100%. Don't try to get your guys who, you put some on Facebook and you got some random guy saying he'll take care of it for you. You know, I would suggest going with the business where you can look up their Google reviews, Better Business Reviews. It doesn't have to be this big company. It can be small contractors, a two-man team that they can be awesome, but they got a business page, they got everything else. So make sure you vet everybody.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, when you're going through that, do you have any other tips for that investor when it comes to managing the rehab as well? Like really understanding, how to work with those contractors. Just really, I think the rehab process is something that a lot of our audience is probably newer to, and would love your advice, having been through it so many times.
Well, you can come to us and we do all that for you. But
Fair, fair.
yeah, but I would say, you got to make the communication, have a clear scope of work, have the communication, establish what communication is going to work best for everybody. You want to get those photos, those updated photos. You want to, and good contractors will have that for you. They will offer that to you. They're not trying to hide anything. So if you're struggling just in the initial conversations to have them do all of this, that's a huge red flag right there. They should already know how to communicate with you and what you need to feel comfortable, especially being out of state.
Yep. Yeah. Do you think so? Once you're managing that process and you're eventually looking at bringing in like a property manager as well, that's something we hear often too. Is when people are first building that portfolio, they're asking like, hey, should I hire a property manager? Like, how do you kind of help them think through that decision of when to bring in a property manager for their portfolio?
So I'm as an investor myself, I understood the real, I've started with Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I understood
Yep.
passive income. My advice to every investor, so the very first single family home I bought back in the day, I bought a single family home and hired a property manager immediately. I had no interest in managing the property. I saw the value. Real estate investing is supposed to be passive income. That's what it's meant to be. Like, you're not supposed to be out there doing that. You know, I've talked to investors who sold 20 of their houses. They're like, I'm tired of doing all of it. I'm tired of managing it. So they just sell it. And I'm like, you could have just gave 8 to 10% of the monthly rent to have somebody do everything for you. Like, and then you'd have passive income. There was no need to sell it. So my advice, you build the property management fees into the deal. If that doesn't work,
Mhm.
even if you plan on managing yourself, build those property management fees into the deal, because at some point, if you're really going to scale, you're going to need property management. You're just going to need it. So
For sure.
always have that in your numbers.
Makes sense. And when you're actually working with property management companies, like having been on the other side of the table, what are some common things you can share of like as an investor that we should keep in mind on how to best work with a property management company, as effectively as possible?
You you don't want to have to manage your property manager. That takes away the idea of property management. In the beginning, what we do, we see what communication the investor prefers. Text, emails, phone calls. What do they want? And in their initial call, we're establishing like what are they looking for in a property management company, and we're trying to cater to what each investor needs, but also we can't cater to every need that every property manager needs. So the idea is to build trust. There'll be extra communication in the very beginning. You're going over things. Our new investors meet with our property management team. They go over their portal. They go over everything with them, so they're clear understanding. We're very transparent with everything we charge, from fees, property management fees. We're super transparent. Everything's updated in real time on their portal. You want to look for those kind of things in a property management company. But the idea is to build that trust both ways. It goes both ways, and get to the point where you don't have to have the weekly meetings. You don't even have to have the monthly meetings. You just sit back and let the property managers, the experts, do their job. Like, you may be an awesome real estate investor, that doesn't make you a good property manager at all. So yeah, so let the experts do their job. Trust the process. Until they give you a reason not to trust you, just trust them. Trust what they're doing. And one of our biggest challenges is there's been many investors that get burned by property management companies, and then they come to us and they already got that bad taste in their mouth, and that's a challenge, and it takes extra.
Uphill battle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it takes extra long to build that. So I get it. Just find somebody good.
Yeah. Fair. Do you think, I thought your background was super interesting as well. Do you think your experience in finance and kind of leadership in that world, is that applied at all to what you're doing now? Like, how is that, has that prepared you at all for kind of your current,
Yes,
company? Or?
that's the biggest factor of the success of 4D and the growth we've had since we opened our doors. I tell investors that when they come to us, that's the difference. There's a lot of bad property management companies out there. You got realtors out there, you got investors out there that say, "Hey, I'm going to start a property management company." They have no idea what that actually means. They don't know, and they don't have the leadership. They don't have the finance aspect of what that means. They don't, you got to be able to forecast everything out. You got to know who to hire. You're hiring people based on what you're anticipating bringing in. So you're hiring ahead of time so nothing falls through the cracks. And you got to be able to calculate those costs because that's a huge expense building your team out. And I have that background where I can do that. And so it never worries me. Like an investor and real estate agent trying to open a property management company just doesn't work. And that's why there's so many bad ones out there. And leadership is my passion. That's what I love. I love leadership, mentoring people into more leaders. That's what I love doing. And I think that's one of the most important aspects of having a successful company.
Love it. Yeah, your passion shines through, Sam. Talking to you here, and the more I get to know you as well. So, this has been fantastic. I know one last question I did have on my
Yeah.
end. I know. I mean, you said you've been together with your wife for 30 plus years, right? You
Yeah.
said that's. I mean, that is impressive, right there. That is,
Yeah.
so, congrats again on that. Do you have any? I mean, we've got a lot of people on here that are watching this where, they might have a significant other that may not be as familiar with real estate or, may not just know this world as well. Do you have any tips on, how you've been able to, do that together and have such a supportive relationship and, just over the years of working through the ups and downs of entrepreneurship? Like, I think that'd be really relatable for our audience if you have any wisdom to share there.
I think what helped me is we had been together since we were 16 years old. We've been married 27 years, together 30. Like you said, that has helped. So she saw my passion from the beginning. I know most people aren't in that situation. So
It's relatable for me, I know personally, which is yeah, that's funny. It's the St. Louis
yeah,
St. Louis thing, I guess.
yeah. So
But
my wife especially has seen my passion for real estate. She has seen the passion. She has seen my confidence. She has seen the books I've read, the podcasts I've listened to. Everything is about real estate since I was a kid. I think, a spouse, a new spouse, and you're talking about it, make sure you're educated on the subject. Talk to them about it. They don't want you just to jump into it and it's a big financial risk. And you got to know what you're talking about, but they also have to see your passion. Real estate investing is not for the faint of heart, and you got to know you're going to get a bad deal every once in a while. You got to know that, and hopefully it's not your first deal that goes wrong because that will kill any support your spouse has. Make sure the first deal you do is a winner because then they're on board. But yeah, I didn't have that problem with my wife. She's a fourth grade teacher, and she's been very part of this business, coming in after work. And this summer, she was here with me working the 60 hours, 80 hours a week all summer rather than take her summer off. So she's
yeah,
been a rock to this company.
incredible, man. Well, that's an inspiration for all of us. Again, really appreciate you coming on. It's a subject that we don't get to talk about nearly as much, property management. So appreciate you coming on and sharing that all with us. How can our audience get involved with you? Like, how can they connect with you directly?
Yeah, you can you go to our website. We got everything there. It's 4dpropertysolutions.com. We actually have a rental analysis. It's awesome on there. Anybody can use it at any time. Go in there, punch in an address in
Nice.
the St. Louis area, and you're going to get a 5-6 page report on there. And you can set up a meeting directly from that website with me.
Amazing.
Yeah,
So it's for the letter D,
yeah. D
propertysolutions.com.
isn't dog. It's
Um,
actually after our four dog. The D stands for dogs. So yeah,
Amazing.
we
There
bring
we
our
go.
dogs to the
And easy to remember.
office. It's fun. So yeah, anybody can go there anytime, no obligation. Run that rental analysis, and people use it all day long. I see it just going.
Fantastic. Well, I appreciate you sharing that resource with
Yeah.
our community as well. I'll link to that. We've got a few other free resources too that I'll link to as well. But Sam, again, really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you so much for your
So
time.
yeah, loved it. It was awesome being here. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, to everyone watching, is Matt Camp over here with Deal Machine, and happy deal finding.